Hey, folks, welcome to August 18th, 2023. It is the dog days of summer. Thanks for joining me. We're gonna get through this. I know we can. Air conditioning here in the Southeast just works overtime. It's really squealing for help, I'm sure, but got to get that thing checked out. But here we are. It is mid-August, and my guest, Maia Sharp, has a new album out. It's called Reckless Thoughts, out on Crooked Crown Records. As we've said before on this program, I can't remember the last time we had Maya on here. It was at least a year ago. So she's definitely incredibly productive, putting out a new release almost every year. This is a fantastic release as well. Reckless Thoughts. It is been recorded up there in Nashville, where she has been residing for a while. She originally has been from California, and we talk about that. In fact, there's a track on here we talk about called California, or her ode to the state. But she's having a great time up in Nashville. She is going around touring. Get this album, Reckless Thoughts. It is beautiful. Great album. So enjoy. How's your summer been going?
It's been going well. Yeah, things are exciting about the new album and the shows coming up. And I've only been in Nashville for 4 years, so the differences in the summer between Los Angeles
Oh,
and
yeah.
Nashville are pretty extreme. So I still get surprised every now and then at just how wild it can be, just like how muggy and hot it can be, and then like the most beautiful blue sky with a breeze you've ever seen, and then an hour later, like literally shelter in place, thunderstorm and lightning, and there might be a tornado. I'm like, what is happening? In LA, it was like basically the same all year long.
Right, right. Well, down here in the Southeast, we had a really great spring. I'm sure it was that way in Nashville.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate it. I was like, I wish I could bottle this up. It's just so nice. And which we don't get very much on most years. So I was like, I knew this was a rarity. And I was like, we're gonna head into another crazy hot summer. And it's even worse than I thought it was going to be.
No, and also, right, there's like 2 weeks in fall that
Yeah.
are extraordinary, and everybody's like out in it and trying to take advantage of it because we know that any time it could be like a new ice age.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy and impossible to predict. And it's true with these storms that come up. Like we
Yeah.
had that yesterday. Here we are now in late July. We're gonna release this in August. But like,
Yeah.
really hot. We hit like 97. They were playing the ball game over there, and it's like, who'd even go out there in that stadium? And then like all of a sudden, like late afternoon when it heats up, it's like it was terrible. People lost power as usual. And it's
Yeah.
just a nightmare.
Welcome to Nashville.
Yeah.
Welcome to the
Yeah.
Southeast.
Yeah, but Nashville, like as you said before, you've this is your second appearance on my podcast. Very
Mhm.
creative community, very supportive. I mean, far
Oh,
different
yeah.
from LA.
Yeah, although there are a lot of really, really wonderful people there, a lot of talent there. It's just so much harder to nurture the community. I think everybody wants what I have found here. I feel like a lot of people in LA wish that could happen more successfully there. And it's just, I mean, I don't know. It sounds so simple, but I think it just kind of breaks down to geography, and like it's just hard to run into your friends. It's hard to keep that thing going when you might be 3 miles apart, but that's like 45 minutes,
Yeah.
here, like I see people all the time. I meet people through friends. I expanded my social circle here faster in a year than I had in probably 20 years living in LA. It's just such an uphill climb for me. Some
Yeah.
people, LA is the fit. That's exactly where they are
Huh.
supposed to be. That's that's where their songs are going to have, the best possible chance. I think the way that I write and just like where my natural instincts lie, Nashville is a better fit. So,
Yeah, it works for you. How long have
yeah.
you been in Nashville now? I refresh my memories. I'm sure I
Uh,
asked this.
I moved here beginning in 19, so I'm just over 4 years now. But you know, two of those were you could have been anywhere because you weren't.
Yeah.
I wasn't out at all. I did a little bit. Well, actually, maybe we talked about this last time too. Because I got COVID really early, and seriously, like, you know, it came with pneumonia, it knocked me out for like a month. My antibodies were rocking, so I could go out.
You got that extra protection.
I could
Yeah.
actually say yes to some stuff that other people shouldn't have said yes to because
Mm.
I mean, I went and like had a blood test and they're like, "Yeah, no, you're fully like, you know, fully resistant to at least the current strain." I think that was before we realized it was gonna morph a bunch, but I had the alpha antibodies going for a long time, for a full year.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I can't believe that we've even gotten through it. And I think back into the moment, I was like, this is never gonna end. We're gonna go at least 5, 10 years where we're gonna be shut-ins. And definitely they were working very hard to get the economy going. And
Oh
that's, the
man, yeah.
vaccine, which knocked it down.
Yeah, I know. And I mean, what a psychological roller coaster that is for at first to think, okay, well, dang, we're gonna have to deal with this for the next few weeks. And like, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, at
think that
first,
this
very
was a
first.
short-lived thing. And then the next thought is, oh my God, is this forever? Is this the rest of our existence? You know? And then you're
That's
like,
what, yeah.
just not knowing enough.
Oh, it's so true. So going into Nashville, and you've done quite a bit of recording. Are you doing that in an actual studio setting, or do you have your own home studio?
So a little bit of both. Actually, a lot of both. It's the same setup as I did for the last album, Mercy Rising. I track it somewhere else. Drums, bass, and electric guitars are tracked elsewhere. My very good friend uh, Joshua Grange, who has a studio like in Edge Hill, so it's just a little,
Angel, I've
I don't
heard
know,
of
like,
that.
yeah, like maybe 15 minutes away from me here. He's got a wonderful room there, and we track there, and then I bring those tracks back here where you know,
Yeah, remember this background,
where you're looking at,
your
and
interesting coffee
and
thing.
and I do. Oh, right. And I do like piano, whirly, acoustic, vocals, anything. You know, I'm 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 off the clock, so I get to search around a little bit. Like I have a couple of, you know, kind of wacky instruments over there that I try, like a mandolin thing and a
Oh,
mellotron. So I get to just kind of play around. I do a lot of pre-production, so before I go over to Josh's, I have a pretty good plan, so I can get all of them in maybe 2 days, three at the most, and then I can come back here, and it's who knows how long. It's going to take as long as I think I need to find all of those little fairies that I want to put on the songs. You know.
wow. Yeah, it's the best of both worlds. And it's so much more relaxing. And you're doing it the way you want to rather than going into that traditional studio where it's,
Yeah.
there's that pressure from producers and people like that.
Right, which is exciting. I think if you pick the right producer, the right you know, I've been producing myself alone for the last two albums, for this one and the last one, but I have had other people produce me, and that is an energy in and of itself. Like you, I think I might feel more like it's performance there because you're always around other people. You always want to shine for everybody around you, and you are a little more on the clock. Like you can't, you know, at some point you can't just like keep on adding a day or a week when you're paying for the studio time and you're paying for
Yeah.
everybody's time. So sometimes that pressure is a cool thing, but I have enjoyed doing it on my own timeline in my own space. I get to, you know, I get to do the thing that I tend to do to know that I'm finished, which is go a little too far and then realize, oh, it was one click back. That was it.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sliding
Yeah.
down the other side of the mountain now, and it's time to go back up. And that's, you know, that's something that I have the freedom to do here. And it's, you know, it's not going to cost me an extra $1,000 end up recording stuff that I don't use, you know.
Yeah, there's your advantage right there.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. So your latest project, Reckless Thoughts, where does that main title come from?
That's a lyric from one of the songs. California is the song, speaking of.
Your ode to
I
the state
know.
where you grew up.
I still get a little wistful when I think about it.
Sure, sure.
Um, and that song, I mean, every word of that song is could be to the state of California, and it could be to my ex-wife, who I
Hmm.
also left at the same time. It was brutal, and I'm happy to report that we are very close friends. We will be in each other's lives forever, very supportive of each other. But that, I mean, we were together for 21 years. That
Wow.
was rough.
It
Uh,
is. It is. It seems like
uh,
ages ago though. When once you've gone through a relationship, I've done that myself. It's
really,
like, oh, it seems like ages ago. It's a lifetimes ago. So much has changed.
yeah, yes, yeah. Yes, it definitely does feel like a lifetime ago. I like this new lifetime though, and we are definitely in each other's
Yeah.
new lifetime, which I think is important to me feeling like anything is going well now. I think I would have a really hard time if we were estranged. It would affect everything. So I feel very fortunate that she's as awesome as she is. I mean, we were together for 21 years, so she must be awesome.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You remember the good times, and
Yeah.
the toxicity that had been in your life is gone. It's just you've got the positivity, and you could. I think it's just fantastic that somebody could look at your work and be supportive, and you could be supportive of each other. I think that's
Oh
incredibly
yeah.
important.
Yeah, and we didn't, I mean, we didn't even have a toxicity. It was I had to go figure, is it okay to swear?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
You have
I
an
had to
F
go.
bomb in this. We'll talk about that in a bit too. Like,
Oh,
oh my
that's right. I have
gosh,
an
in,
F-bomb.
in this project, yeah.
Yeah, I had to go figure my shit out, and I needed to be.
Sure.
It required a kind of a reboot in all of the ways, and yeah. So the song, and you know, Garrison Starr and Peter Grunwald and I wrote that song, and I think we were probably halfway through it, me imagining leaving the state of California for about halfway through the writing process before I realized, oh my God, I'm also singing to her.
Yeah.
Everything applies here. And then and then once that was realized and I said that out loud in the session, I think that informed the rest of the writing of the song. And the title of the album, Reckless Thoughts and Broken Hearts Collide, is the line. And
Hmm.
every time I'm looking for the title of an album, I go through the lyrics from the very first album that I ever made. It's like, okay, is it going to be a title of a song? Is it going to be unrelated? Is it going to be like some one word that is the whole theme of all of the songs, or is it going to be a lyric from the song? And I had a few ideas, but this one definitely rose to the top.
Yeah, it is. It's somewhat intriguing, but in the California track, it's really interesting because once you step out of where you've been for a long time, then
Mm.
you see things that you hadn't seen before. And I like that one line. I found some other part of me that I can only see from the other side. And
Mhm.
to me, that really speaks volumes. You just step away, and then you notice what's been there all along, and all of a sudden you're observing it, and you see
Right.
it. It's really neat.
Yeah. I mean, how many times in your life has this happened where you could not possibly see the thing from the inside,
Yeah.
but as soon as you get out of it, you're like, oh my god, that was so clear. But it was literally impossible to see it while you're in the middle of it. And yeah, that sentiment did feel like a kind of overall theme to the album and just to life over the past couple of years. And reckless thoughts, just that phrase felt like it also just kind of applies to songwriting. It kind of applies to writing. Like you gotta, I, I used to be very intentional all the time, like craft forward. Like this has to hit all the rhythms and the rhymes, and all that's fine, and I still employ that, but also I think a recklessness when you're chasing down an idea, when you're truly just letting yourself feel something without worrying right now about the editing of it. That kind of recklessness is crucial to letting the song idea be the most that it can possibly be. So like I want to be more reckless in my writing. I can
Hmm.
circle back around and fix that line or that word or whatever, but I want it to flow more first. And so the last two albums have been more of a recklessness that I like. So that also felt appropriate for it.
Yeah, sometimes the spontaneity of something's your first take could be great. So, do you do a lot of takes? Do you like really meticulously go over what's the average for you?
Well, I do a lot of takes all the way through. The whole like stop and start, like if you sing something that that's not the take, to stop and do that line again or do that word again. I can't handle that. I can't handle that when it's me doing myself. If I'm, you know, producing somebody else, that's not how I can work. I take it all the way down, probably somewhere between 7 and 10 times probably. And then I walk away and I do something else. And then I mean if there's time, I'll give it a day, but there often isn't. So maybe I just have to give it a couple hours. And then I come back and then it's like edit hat is on. And now I'm listening as I'm trying my very best to put myself in the shoes of an audience person who has not just sung it 11 times, you know, or 10 times or 8 times. So then I can get really particular, and then I can and often that goes in a couple stages too. I'll take a few swipes through it and choose my emotional choices and how I wanted to sing that line and where I wanted to emphasize this word or this phrase. And then I'll come back again a day or two later and get really into the nitty gritty. Oh man, that note's a little sharp. Am I okay with that? No or yes. Fix this. The noises. There's always little like lip stuff and smack. Like all of that stuff is the last layer of it. And I I do catch things at the very end. Like I've sent them off to mix and I get a mix back and I'm like, oh nope. And I recomp the vocal,
That's got to be so hard,
and
though.
send it back.
Yeah, to
Yeah.
hear your voice back and things like that. I'm sure you're well used to it. You've been doing this,
It's
so yeah.
it is a mind screw though. You got to like keep on like getting out, shifting, trying to be nimble, switching back and forth from the micro to the macro. Like, you do like, because I am the one who is editing my own vocal, and I know most singers I know refuse to do that. They just hate it, and I totally understand.
Yeah.
But I like the editing process on other people, and I'm okay with it on me. So, I got to get down to the nitty in it. Like it's got to be clean and it has to be the way I want to hear it. But then I also have to find ways. This is the hardest part, man, to pull back and listen as if it's not me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So hard. But it has to be done. It usually requires, stepping away for a while. Um, Sometimes I'll play it for other people, but usually I just try to I like maybe I'll listen to other music and I'll come back
Yeah.
to it. And often listening to other music helps me be easier on myself. Like I'll listen to a favorite album and realize that that vocal is not perfect and it has been moving me for 15 years. So what is my problem? Why am I tuning the shit out of myself when
Right.
this album that I love is not? So it usually helps me to loosen up and just like, okay, this is how a regular human being would listen to this.
Yeah. You do that with the sequencing process too. You listen to them all
Oh
back to
god.
back. and say,
Yes.
okay, well, this goes here, this goes here. I mean, that's got to be really tough too if you want this to be a real cohesive project people want to hear from start to finish.
Yeah, and then you have to put it out of your mind, like, how many people are going to hear the sequence that I've selected, and how many are going
Right.
to just hear it as
Yeah.
how Spotify wants them to hear it, you know?
Uh-huh.
But yeah, like for the vinyl lovers, especially, because now I'm hooked on vinyl, so everything I make is going to be vinyl. Um, that sequence feels important. And even like, side two, track one, that's a thing too. Like, what is that? And the end of the record song, that's a thing. It has to earn that spot. First record, the first song on the whole thing, the first song on the second side, and the last song of the record. Like, it better make sense that that's where they are.
Yeah, yeah, it does make everything. And, again, it goes back to the days of vinyl. It's like, oh yeah, you wish you can just go back to that, read the liner notes. You're there with the nice big, spread there with all the artwork, and it's been so taken away with digital. Digital, you could take it with you, but there's
Mhm.
something about like really hearing the project the way that the artist meant it to be.
Yeah, that's why I'm doing that fiscally irresponsible thing now every time I press vinyl. So
Yeah.
it says, it's uh I it's yet to be seen if it's a profitable endeavor, but I think either way, I'm probably still gonna keep on doing it.
Yeah, it's nice to have a certain amount of copies of vinyl. How many do you
Yeah,
actually press versus CD?
hold it in your hand.
Yeah,
Um, Pretty close to the same because
that's
I mean,
good.
it's proven to be around the same sales at live shows. Even people admit to me they have no way to play it, but they just like it for the art of it because they can read the lyric. Like, you can't fit the lyrics on the CD art, but you
Right.
can on the vinyl art. And they don't have to go online and look at their screen for another however long, that after they've been probably looking at it all day long. They don't have to do that to listen to lyrics. They can be a kid again and
Yeah,
look at the
yeah.
paper.
And it's
Yeah.
it's definitely got more expensive. It's so funny. I see like new vinyl like 26 bucks for
Yeah.
that. But I'm like, oh my gosh. I remember paying 10 or even going in and getting a vinyl that was slightly used. I was so excited, it's like only 4 or 5 bucks. It's like it's great and it sounds
I know.
fantastic anyway.
Oh, it's so warm and it's like a hug. But I mean, just so you know, the profit margin on that is still less than it
Yeah.
is on a CD because it's so cheap to make a CD, sell it for 15 bucks. It's a lot more to make a vinyl and then you sell it for 25. It's like the same or less profit for the artist. Anyway, still
Oh
worth it.
gosh. To geek out here a little bit,
I know.
do you record analog or are you purposely trying to do that or just basically whatever the most modern equipment you have available?
Yeah, I do the cheater version of that. I track in Pro Tools at Josh's. I have a program called Reaper here. Yeah, and entirely digital. And then after the mix is done, I throw it over to analog
Ah,
to get a little bit of the tape compression. There's probably some serious nerds out there that would be like, "That's not the same. You're not gonna."
they would say it.
You don't get the individual compression, especially the drums and strings. And like, yeah, you're probably right, but I feel like there's still something to it. I get a little bit more out of it. And it's mastered in a different way for the CD and streaming than it is for vinyl. It's warmer, there's
Right.
less limiting, there's less of a crush. It's more the way it was originally recorded. It's just a little closer to that old school thing. So I
Yeah.
gotta just let that be okay. I worked on analog in the beginning. I guess maybe just my first album was analog, like reel to reel, waiting for the rewind, trying to comp with the buttons, running out of tracks, running out of tape. I did all that. Uh, I'm
You had to
okay.
really work for it back then. I
But
remember you had
yeah,
reel to reel.
you had to work for it. You had to wait for it. You had to
Yeah.
pay for it. I'm okay. And it's like, you maxed out at 23 tracks because the Simpty is track 24. Like, 23 tracks. That's like the acoustic version of my song right now is 23 tracks. Like everything else, it doesn't sound like that, but they're all the little layers and the little moments and the fairies and the breakup of the acoustic track into two sides pan and like all of that stuff, and the BGs are doubled or whatever's going on,
Right.
it's 40 at least, up to 80, like that's just what it is now. So I can't imagine, man, trying to go back to it. I'm
Yeah.
impressed by those who do. It's not a slam. It's just like I I need to just keep on rolling and just like add a track and go, go, go. I'm a one woman show here. So like if
Right.
I had to deal with tape, it would, I don't have the time.
Yeah, it's so fascinating how far it's come. I had a guest on my podcast a few months back, and he wrote a whole book about how Bruce Springsteen was just doing a bunch of demos on regular cassette tape through a TAC
Oh man.
setup. This is going back more than 40
Right.
years. And
Uh-huh.
and then they released it as the Nebraska album. But
Mhm.
it's like, and I was telling him, I don't know. It sounded to me like some engineers cleaned up. He's like, no, no. If you had really good equipment, you could hear the tape hiss. You could, yeah, they tried their best, but like it was so spontaneous and organic. They just released it, and a total classic.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think if you however you capture it. Do you remember Michelle Shock the Campfire
Oh
tapes?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That was great.
It's just like you caught that lightning in the bottle once, and
Yeah.
you're not going to get it again.
Yeah, it would be tragic to try, and it would drive everybody crazy to try to go into a pristine situation and recreate that. It would be such a mind screw to try to do that and just make everybody depressed, and then the end result would be that you release the original anyway. So they definitely did it right.
Yeah, yeah. It's just to me it's fascinating with an artist like Bruce Springsteen who kills himself in the studio and just like will take a longer than most artists and just really, really overthink everything. And then just to take a total left turn and say, well, you know what? This worked. I mean, why not? So yeah, that's great. You're in Nashville, you're able to really control your product. And of course it sounds great because of our, your raw talent and the use of digital technology.
Well, thank you very much.
Absolutely. Another track that really gets me, it's probably a sign of the times too, is called Kind.
Mhm.
Was that really like the current events just really getting to you like, come on, people.
Yeah, you're actually the first one to ask the question like that.
Yeah.
It was 2019.
Yeah.
This is one of the earliest ones. I have there's one more on the record that was written in 18, but I think 19 is one of the earliest ones. Dean Fields and Mindy Smith and I were getting together to write, and this is during the previous administration, and kindness seemed to be going out of fashion. There was just like one news story after another where humans were just being so shitty to each other, just like awful to strangers and just like not apologizing about it and just as if this is okay. Kind of following the cues of our leader at the time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
um so we started to vent. It started as a venting session, and we realized um, people probably don't want to hear this side of it. How about if we flip the script and make it more about who we do still want to hang out with and who attracts us and who
Yeah.
we want to attract and all of that. And actually Dean had my kind of people are kind people. He had that. I think we first started
Oh,
to
that
come.
line. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool. Um, so we first started to come at it as like they aren't this, they aren't that, they aren't that. And then my kind of people were like, no, 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 how about all the other things that they can be? And we didn't want to come right out and say like any color, any sexual orientation,
Right.
any religion. We didn't want to be that obvious about it.
Right.
So we started with like, okay, what are just like some quirky things that might just not be like us? Like, it's okay that you're not like me, as long as
Yeah.
you are a kind human. And I think it was Dean again who's like jalapeno peppers in your ice cream. And Mindy, I think, was Maserati in the slow lane, and like that was such a fun ride. After we got onto the positive tip and realized, okay, now we just have to think of silly things that have no effect on a friendship. So like I don't care if you're, a vegetarian. I don't care if you save honeybees. I don't care who you pray to or nobody. Does, that was so fun. And so once that started, it was like, okay, how about this? How about this? How about this? How about this? I think the hardest line in the song is that halfway point in the chorus. The chorus is pretty sing-alongable until you
Right.
get to rich or broke, drink or smoke. To me, it's all Pepsi Coke.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's fun. Yeah.
Figuring out. I mean, we had Richard broke, drink or smoke for a really long time. We're like, okay, God dang it, it needs that internal rhyme. What the hell is that gonna be? And it was like, okay, Pepsi Coke. I think I threw the Pepsi Coke idea out, but like, how the hell are we gonna sing that? How are we gonna get that in there? How are we gonna phrase it? And that ended up just being the line that determined the tempo of the song because you can only sing that thing so fast. So
Right, right.
rich and broke, drink and
What a
smoke,
challenge.
Pepsi Coke. Okay, that's how we know what our tempo is. Yeah. That's fun.
That is really, really good. Yeah, just a really good break in the middle of the album. Your opener track, you're talking about sequencing and everything.
Mhm.
Uh, why choose that? She'll let herself out. How does that kick it off? Is that just something that hit you in the moment?
I actually had a couple of other ideas for that first slot, and they were more kind of how my last album opened up with Mercy Rising. They were more just kind of the slow, let me just lead you into the album, kind of the long unfold kind of thing. Like, you know what? No, this one doesn't want that again. I need to grab them. And She'll Let Herself Out is also like, I mean, you're listening to a new album. There's a new album out. It's out. It just let itself out. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah. It
it
just sounds
was
like this
too.
is a character that
Yeah.
was really, kind of like something in your mind that you imagined. I just imagine this kind of a character.
Yeah, it was like just too ripe. It was like the low-hanging fruit. Like I just need to pluck this. And it's the last the third and last of the singles that I'm releasing before the whole album. It's the single that's going to radio officially next week.
Oh,
The
good.
single is out today on the 21st. So by the time everybody hears this, it'll be out there.
Yeah.
Um and
Well,
yeah, hopefully on the radio as well. Old school radio, baby.
yeah. The whole album, August 18th, on
Mhm.
your Crooked Crown label.
Yes, sir.
Uh, where does the Crooked Crown come from?
Crooked Crown is one of that was a song of mine. It was on an album, my album Fine Upstanding Citizen. David Batteau and I wrote it, and Bonnie Raitt recorded it after I
Okay.
did.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
it was
That's
one of
like
the
the mid
songs I
2000,
recorded.
like 2005. Is that about?
Exactly 2005. Wow. How'd you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Head for dates. It's really weird. I'm not Mary Lou Henner who knows like every single date
Oh, that's
possible.
right. Every
Oh
single thing she's ever
gosh.
seen in her
I can
life.
kind of understand that, but like every single day of your life. I mean, are you
How
kidding
do you
me?
carry that around too? Like you're
It's
remembering
enough
what
for
you ordered for lunch when you were 13? Like that's all in there? Wow.
amazing.
So yeah, so and that I've always related to that. Like, I mean, the song is about being on the edge of um staying just above the fear line of like feeling having just enough confidence um to keep on moving forward, but there's still those little nagging voices of like, maybe this is the day that you suck. So like the crown is like, yeah, I got this. And the crooked is like, holy shit, it's gonna fall off at any minute. And that's just I've related to that forever. Fortunately I relate a little bit less to it now, but I still like the name and that's my
Yeah.
publishing company, that's my label. So
Yeah, Bonnie Raitt. Oh my gosh, at the Grammys. I don't know if we talked since because that was very recently. Like
yeah.
some people had no idea who she was. I'm like, yeah, like
Get with
been
it.
out there.
Yeah. If you don't know who Bonnie Raitt is, you gotta go to school.
It's just yeah,
Uh,
that's just wrong. It's like hating on the Beatles. It's like you have to have a disease if you hate the Beatles. I'm sorry.
yeah.
It
Yeah.
goes that far.
And all you've really told me is that you're not a good hang if you say that.
Yeah,
You didn't
yeah.
tell me anything about the Beatles, you just told me about you.
Exactly. It really is. Or not liking animals. What's wrong with people like
Yeah,
that? I don't get it.
no, no. No, but yeah,
Wow.
her accepting the Grammy. I'm not sure which number Grammy this was for her, but she deserved every single one of them. However
Wow.
many there have been, and there have been many. This is the one for that she finally got for writing.
Yeah.
She
Yeah. What
wrote
a
it. She
great
wrote the
project
shit
that
out of
is.
that song. She's a
Mm-hmm.
wonderful songwriter. Nick of Time too, that's hers.
Yeah. The all
Crazy.
time.
So
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. So, yeah. So in this project, you dropped the old F bomb in there. You know, it's so funny. This reminds me of because I was always a huge Billy Joel fan, and he dropped one in on a track on the Nylon Curtain over 40 years ago. I'm like,
Mhm.
Billy, what? It's
What?
like, but it's very raw. It's very honest. It just needs it. And this is in the track "Fallen Angel."
Yeah, and it's not a fuck you F bomb.
Yeah, not
It's
like a gratuitous thing. This is really it
no.
means something. It's yeah,
And it's not
authentic.
at anyone. It's not an
Yeah,
aggressive one.
right.
That I if I want to be fucking faithful, then that's just how I'm gonna be. Yeah. It felt like the place to emphasize a love for somebody that wasn't really receiving it, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. You got a little bit of a country twist in there. I'm sure Nashville
Oh
has really
yeah.
been an influence. Gone Crying is the one that really comes to mind as far as like getting into that real country spirit. It's just really, a good quality the way you get into that.
Well, thank you. Yeah, there's I mean to me I feel like it's all wrapped up in whatever with the labels and the genre. It doesn't really matter, but it feels like just kind of unabashed Americana,
Yeah.
which has the country elements in it and the folk elements in it. Gone Crying was written with my friend Elizabeth Elkins. It was early in the lockdown, and it was the first Zoom write that either one of
Mm.
us had ever done. John Prine had just passed away, and we were mourning that and also just sad about the situation. It was in that place that you and I were just talking about earlier, where it's like, is this going to be
Yeah.
like 3 more weeks or is this like the rest of time? Like, we didn't know what was happening as two songwriter musicians who play live and write together in rooms and socialize to make new avenues for our songs and all that stuff. Everything was just shut off. So like, what now? It was a very scary time. And it was also right at around the time in our evolution through this where people are posting about all of the super productive things that they're doing with their free time now, about making bread and learning languages and homeschooling their kids, and now their kids have a PhD and like
All
doing
right.
a garden, a fucking raised bed, and like just I mean, okay, great for you, but I don't like we let each other off the hook for
Yeah.
those.
Yeah.
Maybe Elizabeth and I just want to feel like shit for a minute, and this is really scary, and we just want to try to write a song, and we're really sad about losing one of the best songwriters that we've ever had on the planet, and let's write something inspired by John Prine, and that just says, you know what, I'm gonna cry.
Yeah.
This is how I'm gonna get through this. This is how I feel better. Sourdough bread doesn't help me. I need to let it out. You know,
Right.
that's what it's
Right.
about. And it ended up surviving a couple years. When was that? That was middle of 20. So it ended up being a song that I never could really shake. It was a little fang on the brain that was like, okay, this one wants to get out there.
Yeah, that's good because yeah, not all of us are cheery and optimistic every single day. And you throw on social media and you see all these people. Nowadays, it's about
Yeah.
people now really getting out there taking trips. I'm like, I don't know. I gotta do stuff around the house here. I'm not taking trips. It's like, should I feel jealous? I mean, you're kind of like feeling like, oh, they're trying to just make you. Not that there's the intention there, but it's just
No,
you
yeah,
see
they're
the
not.
pictures.
Yeah, I mean, I can't help it. It feels shallow even thinking about saying it, but like I see people taking trips and are like, how are you affording that?
Right. Exactly. So
What?
yeah.
Is there something I don't know? Like, you've
Yeah,
been
how are
gone
you able to
for a
go to
month.
New Zealand and then buy a Dodge Charger when you get back? How does that
Okay.
work?
I mean, awesome for you, but there's a piece that's missing in our story together. You've been gone a month. Yeah.
So true. Now, are you getting back out there performing? Obviously, we're well past COVID, so you more performing live in the Nashville area and you traveling a little bit too.
I've been doing some shows, some traveling shows, but it's really, really going to kick up after the release. So the album is out August 18th. I got a big full band show with all the guys that played on the album
Ooh,
here in Nashville at Third and Lindsley on August 20th. It's for the Lightning 100 Nashville Sunday night. So that's really going to be the start of like, okay, I am on the road now for the album. So I'm playing here and then like Columbus, Ohio, Pittsburgh, upstate New York, Portland, New Jersey, um, and then another swath in Wisconsin, another swath in Colorado. So there's a bunch of dates. They're all going to be on the website. And I'm adding some new dates all the time. So if you want to know, it's all at maiasharp.com.
excellent, excellent. Yeah, touring's fun. It is. Talk about
It
traveling and
is
getting out there and seeing the country.
out there like I'm solo acoustic these days on the road. I'm going to do the full band thing here, but I play it really lean and mean when I leave town.
Yeah, yeah. I always keep saying almost every episode I promote Eddie's Attic here in the Atlanta area. It's actually Decatur, Georgia, but yeah, we would love to see you here as
I
well.
would love to get back down there. We've looked into Atlanta a few possible opportunities there, so that hopefully will be one of the new dates on the site very soon.
Great. Yeah, and then this number album, Reckless Thoughts, which number album is this for you?
Man, I lose track of that. And I've had
Yeah,
a couple that I put out on my own that I don't know if people are counting those. So it's either 9 or 10, I think
yeah,
is.
probably in that area. You have a live album out? Is that in your catalog or is
I
that just
don't No, I never did that. I never did the live thing. I think I might be too uptight about editing to do that. But eventually there might be a day where that happens. Or maybe like live. I do try to do a follow-up acoustic version of the album. So in a few months I'll do what is pretty much live, just acoustic guitar and vocal, or maybe piano and vocal, and it's just me in my room just doing it like I do it live. So if you like
yeah.
the album, you get the other side of it. You get the acoustic versions of all those songs.
Nice, nice. So when people come to your shows, the folks can always buy vinyl or
Hell
CD.
yeah.
You're also available for download on all those streaming places.
Everywhere that you find your digital stuff, it's out there. Yep.
Cool. Well, thanks for
Or
dropping
will be.
by.
Well, thank you so much for having me back. It's really good to see you again.
Absolutely. And best wishes, Reckless Thoughts, available in so many places, and best wishes for everything going forward.
Thank you so much.
And I hope you enjoyed Maya. She is a delight. Love having her on the podcast and very grateful that you're all listening. Until next time, take care, stay cool if you're listening to this in the summer when we have recorded this, and we'll see and hear you soon.